So, bro, the future is the future bright? Like yeah. Let's start with there. Like, do you see a before we go into like the characters that you expect, what you want to see, what you're looking forward to? A similar with like, do you think that the future is bright? Because I think I hear a lot of superhero fatigue. You know, we need something different. It's too samey. Do you think that Disney can still go on ahead and do what they're doing in the MCU and still get good success, or no?
It's funny. It's funny when you say about superhero fatigue because like the film I'm looking forward to the most this year is Dune, and I actually posted in a Dune Reddit forum that like, man, I really want Dune to succeed because I have superhero fatigue. Because I feel that after Endgame, it was like, bro, this is like, I don't know how you can match this. And we saw that piece of trash that was the 6 hours of Zack Snyder's nonsense. And for me, that was a perfect example of superhero fatigue, which was that piece of garbage. So, see, my thing is that this hinges on X-Men.
Okay.
X-Men is the key because for me it's like,
bro, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm worried about Storm, man. I'm really
in what sense? In what sense?
I just have a feeling they're going to like botch a character because maybe this is aside. I'm keeping this in the video. Is that like with a lot of, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just a trend. Maybe like, you know, beauty. Please don't delete me. So, no. The way they portray black women in them is they often seem to be the sort of Falcon sidekick type of take a back seat to their like white women. Whether it's the first Captain Marvel when the Rambeau, you know, and it was like, you know, like, oh, you're amazing, you're this, you're that to thingy. And then even in WandaVision when you had her daughter Monica Rambeau, who I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting in a fight with Captain Marvel. That would be sweet.
Yeah.
But even in that, it was kind of like at the end, it was like, you know, they'll never. You did your best for them, Wanda. She did. Like, I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why are you so? You literally you're siding with someone who. Even in the X-Men series when they made Storm the first time they did her, sorry, not the original Storm, but I think in the reboot, the younger one, they again portrayed her as like, I want to be just like Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. I'm like, what the hell? No, Storm does not want to be like Jennifer. Storm does not want to be like a shapeshifter. Storm is an omega level mutant who can control the very weather. Like, man, I'm worried.
I've already said that. Like, no, Mike, it's so funny you say this because I literally was about to do a video about how, oh no, we need to have a Storm done justice. I already have my beef with that X-Men. I hated those X-Men films because, again, they should have cast Angela Bassett as Storm. That was an over smooth. Like, Halle Berry was horrendous casting. But for me, Storm is such a major character. They can't do, like, Storm is literally one of the biggest. Because, like, Monica Rambeau, all these guys, who are these people? But my thing is that whole X-Men thing was weird. But the fact that Brand Singh is now out of it and so forth. Because for me, Storm is needed. Because it's like...
Storm is needed. Storm is definitely needed.
And also, we're in a different time. You see, back in 98, when X-Men came out, this was pre-BLM, pre-racial... So it was a very different world. So you could get away with Storm being a battered person. There's been so much stuff done with, like, you know, diversity, inclusivity, and everything. That if you're doing a Storm movie, it's going to be a major character. And this crazy thing is, it's her name is Teyonah Parris, who is Monica Rambeau in the thingy. She should have been Storm. She should have been Storm. But like X-Men.
I would love like actually like an African. Just an African, whether like a Nollywood actor or something like that. I would love it. Like from, because obviously in the comics she is like
from an
African or Egypt or Sudan or something like that. So like orphan that's
Aurora,
there,
yeah.
So
look, it's like, I think because that's going to be a major casting, because I think because I already believe that Black Panther is going to focus on the Dora Milaje. I think that's what's also going to be there in. So I do think that it's going to be very important that they make the right casting. And no, there would be a freaking uproar if they screw over Storm. Major uproar. Because for me, the key to this is that because Captain America and Iron Man were so iconic as characters and they were so huge, and Thor is a piece of crap, garbage, useless character. And see, Spider-Man is my guy. Spider-Man's always been my guy, and I have my feelings about how they've portrayed Spider-Man because
I have criticism.
I just don't know.
I have criticism with
the issue with Spider-Man is, guys, this is Spider-Man. Like, I have an argument that Spider-Man is the most popular comic book character of all time.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Because people say, "Oh, Superman," Batman. Say no. Every child always prefers Spider-Man. So every child will always go to Spider-Man first before they go to Batman. So every kid rocks with Spider-Man amongst guys like of my generation and so forth. So my thing is that the issue I had with Spider-Man is big, and this is my criticism of the MCU. People are so MCU that everything has to interconnect. You've pretty much handicapped Spider-Man's agency because he's using Iron Man's Iron Man's tech for the 2 films, and now I'm hearing that apparently he may use Doctor Strange's magical suits and everything for the whole thing. So I'm like, what? Guys, Peter Parker is like a borderline genius.
Yeah.
Peter Parker is a guy who, he is a science nerd, so he creates the stuff by himself. That's why he's Spider-Man. So
this is the thing why I don't really get why a lot. I mean, still to me, the best Spider-Man movie to date so far is Into the Spider-Verse. That doesn't I can't think of a better, and that includes live action movies as well because of how I feel they got what the essence of Spider-Man actually is. So responsibility, loss, whilst trying to basically live a normal life. That's basically what the essence of Spider-Man is. But the issue with I think Tom Holland's going forward is, like as you said, like he seems to need additional people to come into. It can't be his own character. They don't seem to sort of really so far been focused on his intelligence capabilities. I also got criticism of the fact that like in the first 2 movies, up until the end of the second movie, I was like, where's this guy's struggle or loss? Like he's basically just a middle class guy, like who's not really like part of the thing with Spider-Man is just like it's just the relatability. And he's just basically a dude who's basically like looks middle class, like just even the whole bullying with Flash and stuff he's basically a well-to-do guy doing okay. And you're like, he's got this? And then Noah Ben annoys me. That part of that is the defining part of his character. So Noah Ben, I'm not saying you should play out the death scenes again, but the fact that he's not even being referenced like at all, and that Iron Man is now his dad, it's like
because it's funny because I watched the second one again, and I was like, okay, and I was like, oh wow, like this, I'm really not engaged. I was like, I don't know what it's because like it is well made, and maybe it's because I think if the jokes don't hit, then that's problematic. Like when you watch something like a Back to the Future, the jokes just hit and they're like timeless. But for me, these jokes are like, oh, I know you're saying, but they just don't really hit. So I actually didn't really enjoy it watching it the second time. So, but back to this whole thing, as in what's next? X-Men is critical. Yeah. Like obviously, I know they want to do. I'll be real with you, man. You've tried twice with Fantastic Four. Chill. Just you've already pushed it up twice. See, for me, X-Men is the key. And
X-Men is definitely key.
Do it right.
Do you think? Sometimes do you ask this question? Do you think that they will try and bring back Hugh Jackman?
If they do that, I'm taking a nuke to Kevin Feige's place, and I'm totally gonna see Hugh Jackman is a great actor. He was amazing in Prestige. He was amazing in Prison. A really good actor. Wolverine is short. I'm sorry, like that is. If you watch the Fox TV show from the early 90s and so forth, he constantly references to his height. It's a major part of his character. It's not like, no, it is a key part of his character is of him being a short guy. And Hugh Jackman did a great job, but that's whole thing of, it's like, imagine if, like Game of Thrones. Yeah. Imagine if Tyrion was tall. It totally changed the character. Yeah. Like him being short is an important part of his character. If Tyrion was tall, it's completely changed what his character is about, because Wolverine is the underdog where he may be small, but don't underestimate it because the guy is freaking tough and vicious for his size. So my thing is that it is very important that you get the Wolverine character right, but it's important. See, this is what that piece of crap Bryan Singer did. See, now I'm just getting all of my frustrations.
X-Men bad. Just because I mean, we know that Deadpool Ryan Reynolds is going to be. I mean, that I have no problem with. I think Ryan Reynolds was always going to do the Deadpool role, and I think that's just going to. And Deadpool is a unique character in itself, so he's obviously going to be in. But it's just when I saw that, I was like thinking, is that potentially a sign that, you know, they're going to roll over certain X-Men, Sony sort of, and that might not just be Hugh Jackman, but even Michael Fassbender, you know, a few other people from the X-Men franchise coming over and doing this. Well, like, what's his name? The Quicksilver guy. I mean, I know he was a dumb person, but they still used him, so they still acknowledged the fact that.
But he wasn't. You know he wasn't Quicksilver.
Oh yeah, I know. He
was just some other dude.
He was just another dude, but it's still the fact that that there's still an acknowledgement of this sort of thing, even though it was just some random dude. You still chose this person knowing full well what he kind of represented, which tells me that like Disney are not going to have a problem potentially taking characters from that Fox. My worry, bro. Sorry, I know you're going to think is that what happens if they do that with Storm? Because I didn't like the new. I didn't know.
Sorry, no, I had to swear, man. No.
Because I saw not the Halle Berry Storm, but the new younger Storm.
Oh, and to be honest, I think it's Justice Smollett. No, I think it might be Smollett. So yeah.
She was worse than even Halle Berry, man. Like as soon as she said, "I look up to Mystique. I want to be like her," I was like, "Get off my screen."
And also, okay. First of all, if you're doing, can we please have a dark skin Storm? This is supposed to be a character from Africa that's African. Can we please, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to say, can we please have a dark skin Storm? Please, let's have a. You've already had 2 light skin. Can I have a dark skin Storm? And another thing as well is, you see, get it right now. Cyclops is the leader. Storm is second in command. Wolverine is the outsider. Like, the dynamics of X-Men is crucial because by making Wolverine the leader and so forth, you negate his character. The reason why his character is so good, why we gravitate towards him, is because he's the outsider. And he's at loggerheads with Cyclops, who is the more natural leader.
Let me go into, because obviously we're talking about X-Men, and we'll go into a few things like, and it's times like, how do you think that they will? Because I don't think they're going to be interested in X-Men in this phase, in phase 4. So maybe like phase 5, I think. Yeah. So how do you think they will introduce X-Men? Because they're mutants, they're born with it. We haven't heard of any mutant stuff like all this time. So how do they go now and reintroduce mutants or the concept mutants into the MCU?
But then look, your boy at the far right there, I think Blade. So maybe Blade may be a film in which, because what's it called? There have been crossovers with Blade and Spider-Man, X-Men, and so forth. Okay. So maybe in the Blade film, that's probably where he may come into contact or somewhat into some of these mutants. Because it goes. If let's say you introduce an X-Men, have they always existed in this timeline, or do they exist in another timeline? Hence, why Doctor Strange is the key. Okay. So maybe if things get so crazy, Doctor Strange is like, oh, you know what? We have some crazy dudes in another timeline, and maybe that's where we now see maybe Doctor Strange and the Beasts combined because they're both like scientists. And maybe he now goes into the timeline and tries to bring the X-Men, or somehow something happens and X-Men are coming to this timeline and so forth through Doctor Strange trying to solve all the timelines re-emerging. But my thing is, it's true. Because from what I've been hearing, they want to now try and do Fantastic Four for the 3rd time. Which I think is just crazy, bro.
Yeah, bad.
Because like Michael B. Jordan is done with the role, so they can't do that reboot one. No. And I'm sure Alba and people are not going to do so. My thing is okay, would you want another Fantastic Four or scratch that and just do X-Men?
See, the funny thing about Fantastic Four is that I've never really. The irony is that I actually prefer the Fantastic Four in the Ultimate Universe. So because in the Ultimate Universe, like the Ultimate Universe is weird in the comics, but in the Ultimate Universe, Reed Richards becomes like a really, really serious villain. He's called like the Maker or something like that. Like Google it, the Maker, Reed Richards. And like he's like just a psychotic but eerily sinister kind of character. And interpretation of Reed Richards, and it was just very interesting how they did it. To be honest, the only reason why I like to see the Fantastic Four is because of what's associated with the Fantastic Four, not necessarily the team itself, but the certain characters, the certain individuals that I know that are associated with them that I might see. So, like I said, the ultimate version of him who's good. Even their child, I think Franklin Richards, who's like a ridiculously powerful character, reality warping, etc. Galactus, like there's a lot the negative zone right there. So it's not so much them; it's that I know that if they come in, I'm going to start to see a lot of interesting characters that I want to see in the MCU. Mostly villains or like really powerful characters that wouldn't make sense if they just popped off. Like even Kang, technically the first team to see Kang, it was the Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay.
You know, so even a part of me is thinking, oh, maybe in Ant-Man, are we going to see potentially a nod towards the Fantastic Four or something like that? Because he was the first person that superheroes that Kang actually encountered.
I know what they may do. I think this would be the smart way to do it. Rather than risk making another standalone film and that's flopping, just put them into an Avengers film. So they're just characters within an Avengers team-up thing. Because the powers are so... One thing I can Fantastic Four, like, they have great powers. And those powers are really useful in a kind of superhero battle and so forth. So the best thing to do is, rather than just giving a standalone film, just incorporate them into a like an Avengers film. But for me personally, we need an X-Men film. And we need an X-Men. It's like, because something tells me that they may try and just bring back James McAvoy and Fassbender.
I have a feeling that they might. But
it's okay. That's fine. But Hugh Jackman, no, fuck no, please no. I mean, I'm done with that. This guy, you've been in like now. Come on, man, no.
I just wouldn't be. I mean, a part of me thinks that because of this whole multiverse
so real quick, did you know Hugh Jackman has been playing Wolverine for longer than some people have been alive for? because not some people like some people on the football courts have been 98. X-Men was in 98.
Yeah, the first one. I thought it was 2000 for some reason.
You might. I think it might be 2000. I think it might be 2000.
I think it was I thought it was 2000.
2000. No. 98 is Blade. 98 is Blade.
98 is Blade. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Unlucky that Wesley Snipes couldn't reprise his
2000.
Role,
2000.
So.
Yeah, 2000.
Speaking of Blade, it's been like, is there any particular like shows that you're really keen to like see going forward? Like show. Well, okay. 2 questions: shows that you're looking forward to see, and second, are there any specific characters that you haven't seen yet that you would like to see in the MCU?
I think that it's fun, just looking at all these MC shows, an X-Men show would be really good.
Okay.
Because it's an ensemble, rather than just doing another reboot film, having like an X-Men show would probably be really good if you just cast it well and so forth.
I would love an X-Men TV series, man.
That'd be amazing.
I've been so if it shares anything like the animated one beforehand, a story,
which was amazing. Especially if you make it in that vein where it's really serious, it's dealing with stuff about like racism, xenophobia, and so forth, and it gets really. But it's the issue that Disney will never go that deep. You see, Fox could go really deep because it was freaking Fox. But I don't know whether Disney can really go into the whole xenophobia, racism aspects of it. But they can
because they even said, I mean, I think it's Stan Lee. I think said like Magneto and Xavier were based on Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. It was the whole idea of different. They're both mutants, as it were, both blacks, but the way that they're going about, they have different ideologies on how they achieve their specific outcome. One wants peace, and the way the other one's like, nah, we need to be able to take things by force and so on, so you're right. I don't know whether going forward, whether they go down that line and explore those ideologies and etc., or they focus more on because none of the X-Men shows really, I mean, they obviously dealt with the whole people don't like them, hate them and stuff, but I don't think they went as further as they should.
You mean in the films or the TV show?
In the films, definitely. In the TV show, they did that absolutely, because you saw like certain characters that epitomized that, and obviously the Sentinels and what have you.
No. See, for me, that was always my issue with the films, is that the films were never as deep as the cartoon. Like the cartoon really got deep into that whole concept, and I think the films just sort of hinted at it, but it never really got deep, because they
just seem to be obsessed with like making Jean Grey like the main big bad Dark Phoenix thing. It's like almost everything was always built up.
It was just
Jean Grey doing her thing. Like I don't actually care about Jean Grey.
No. The biggest issue with that was there was too much focus on Wolverine. Wolverine is not in the spotlight. Hence why the spotlight is this is really about Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, and of course they are the main fulcrum. And then Beast and Thing is, these guys are just on the outside, like Gambit, Rogue. They're all like on the outside. So it's like, and also I think that was annoying, like how they turned Rogue into like a little girl. Well, that she was a totally different. Like Rogue is supposed to be like a very sexual, because and that makes more sense that she's sexual, because she can't touch anyone. So no. But I mean, I think they've done most characters. I mean, I would like to see Kraven the Hunter, who might be a villain in the next Black Panther film. So he's a really interesting one. But I mean, it's like, I think the one I'm looking forward is obviously Blade, and see how they do Blade. Because see, my thing is, Thor could have been a really good character here, but Chris Hemsworth is so garbage, and they so dropped the ball that basically Thor is now a joke. He's now a complete joke. Hence why, like, that garbage new film that they're bringing, like, who cares about garbage? But it's like, but the thing with Blade though is that, man, it's going to be hard to replace Snipes now.
The big thing on characters right now is that they've introduced a lot of heroes. For me, it's the villains. Like, I want to see how they do Doctor Doom. I want to see how they do Doctor Doom properly.
So do you think that he's going to be the next big bad than Doctor Doom?
Well, I was gonna talk like later about like Dark Avengers, because I have a theory going into it. I don't think he'll necessarily be the big bad, but possibly like in one of those intermediary villains. Like he possibly might be like the new Loki.
Okay,
making sense. Like not necessarily an overarching, but someone that's there to cause like persistent problems for the Avengers and obviously the Fantastic Four. But Doctor Doom, much like Storm, has been introduced badly twice. Badly in the Fantastic Four, he was just some pretty boy.
That dude,
that guy. I just don't know. And then in the remake, I don't even know what that was at the end of it. So my man Doom, who's probably one of the best written characters in all of Marvel Comics, for his backstory, needs some justice. He needs to be unwell. It's just,
I mean, because people like I still feel they dropped the ball on Thanos.
Okay.
Thanos could have been an all-time villain.
Okay.
And people forget this. You do realize that in Endgame, they didn't actually fight the Thanos we've all known. So they fought a dude who was like, wait, who the heck are you guys? That's Thanos who we saw from 2012 and so forth. They beheaded him in like the first few minutes and the start of Endgame. But I think for me, Thanos could have really been that dude. And this is where it goes back to the whole thing of respecting villains. Villains are bad, evil people. We're not here to understand them. We're not here to reason with them. They're just evil. I think that they try to humanize Thanos so much rather than say, no, he's just an evil bastard. That's it.
I think we're seeing that. I'll ask this question before we move on to the speculative Dark Avengers thing. Is that like, I mean, what I'm noticing, especially, and I don't think it's just in Marvel, but in movies in general, is that we're almost seeing this kind of, back in the day, you literally had like, okay, heroes, villains, there's no murky waters, no dichotomy. Batman good, Joker bad, Lex Luthor bad, Superman good, and so on. That's just it. Whereas now, we're almost seeing like heroes being almost like anti-heroes, and villains over time also becoming anti-heroes. And there's moral entry. Yeah, exactly. So there's this moral ambiguity. Like you said, with Thanos is like, this is a guy in the comics who basically, his only motivation was like, I love death, I want to please death, so I'm gonna just annihilate everyone because I want to just satisfy my lust. That was it. That was the motivation. Here it's like, okay,
balance.
you can kind of see what he's trying to talk about, balance and things and his perspective, and you're like, so yeah, you're right. I don't, and this is the thing with people with Doom as well, because Doom is the type of character where he has to be written well because he is a villain, but he's a complex villain in that, like, you're like, he clearly is one, but the manner by which he gets to it is like, okay, whoa, okay, I see what's going on. Does that make sense? I get it. I understand, but you're still an asshole. And I think that my feel of Doom and other villains that like come in, like there are a lot of villains that I've not seen yet that I really want to be seen. And my criticism of the MCU so far is that they've butchered a lot of villains. They've killed a lot of. I don't know whether you watched Black Widow yet, but the way they handled a certain character. Spoilers for those who haven't watched Black Widow.
Oh yeah, spoilers.
If you haven't watched Black Widow, but they did my man Taskmaster badly. They destroyed Taskmaster.
No, because see, for me, because obviously I don't really know the Taskmaster character that well, but my thing is, after watching Black Widow, it's like I watched the film where I don't think there was a villain in that film. Like, there wasn't really like a baddie in that film. And Taskmaster was just the girl behind the whole thing. So the Black Widow was a mess. That's for me. See, Black Widow was an unnecessary film.
But this is the problem I've seen with like some of the more like film-led movies, is that the same with Captain Marvel is that like it's almost like they can't create a menacing, competent villain because that would cause problems for the main character. So they kind of have to create the villain in a way where they're menacing, usually for other reasons, but they can't be competent so as to cause any real issues.
No, but my thing is that
okay, when you saw the main guy, go on,
I understand that for Black Widow, but in terms of Captain Marvel or Storm, you are supernova superheroes. So really, you should be given formidable opponents. But my thing is that maybe there is a thinking of, do we want to see women get beat up and so forth, and maybe that kind of thing. That's
what I'm saying. That's my kind of things. Like they seem to be treading the kind of the waterline where they don't want to be shown like the struggle, you know. And that's why when I felt like with they should have used Taskmaster in this better, because okay, fine, see it, you didn't see who was in Taskmaster's face, and then you find out who it is, and it's like some just dry.
Sorry, you just reminded me as well. Mysterio was garbage. What a waste!
They did.
You have a guy like Jake Gyllenhaal, an amazing actor, and you totally waste him with such a horrible written character. Just absolutely horrible.
This is what I'm saying. My main issue with the MCU right now is that like I can count on my hand probably what would deem the good, well-written villains. Loki, okay, maybe there. Thanos, okay, for what he did, fine. And I probably maybe say like Hela from Thor Ragnarok. I could gel with Hela. I think she was pretty cool. Other than that, most other villains on there like are memorable, gone, and a lot of these villains are major to minor characters.
Actually, you know what? I liked Vulture though. Vulture was decent. He was decent. But my thing is,
and Killmonger. Sorry, that's another one. Killmonger was up there as well. Yeah.
Yes, Killmonger. Yeah.
But everyone else.